Hello and welcome to the Walk Around podcast, powered by JM&A Group. If you are in the automotive business, you have found the right place. You are certain to learn how to grow your dealership or how to grow your automotive career. I am one of your hosts, Marc Spoto, joined by always Elliot Schor.
Hello, hello.
And today we are welcoming Connie Gundrum, and she is Chief Client Officer for Dom 360, a full-service marketing agency, and has been in the automotive business for over 2 decades. In advertising and in marketing, she spent her entire career working with Fortune 500 groups, all the way down to the hometown dealer. And she's just so experienced when it comes to advertising, marketing strategy, how to reach customers. Elliot, this was a super interesting conversation when you think about where dealers can find the most value in their advertising and what are opportunities maybe they're not looking at.
Definitely. Always a great question, and always a place where there's lots of opinions around how dealers should go to market with their advertising.
Yes.
So always, super valuable learning from an industry expert who touches so many dealers on a monthly basis.
Absolutely. And we also learned we are terrible when it comes to recalling names of movies or characters in movies.
Or TV
shows and commercials.
All right.
Which
you'll all find out very soon here.
Very shortly. Let's take a walk around with Connie Gundrum. Well, Connie, welcome to the Walk Around podcast. It is great to have you. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Thanks for having me here. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, we're excited. So we read a quote from you that said, ever since you were a child, you knew you wanted to work in advertising. So what was that moment, and how does your career progress since you knew it so early?
So I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a show called Who's the Boss?
Oh, of course.
I do remember that show. Tony Danza.
Yeah.
Classic. Tony Danza. Yeah. So Angela Bowers, I think her name was.
Yes.
She was a character and she was in advertising. So, I really liked
all the years watching that show.
I had no idea what she did.
That's
so funny.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So she exposed me to that.
I knew what Tony did. Because
was he a boxer on that show?
Well, wasn't he the housekeeper?
Well, yeah, he was the housekeeper, but his background was boxing, right? Or a boxing trainer?
I think you might be right.
Back to Connie. Let's go back to Connie. So you knew you wanted to be in advertising, and how has that career progressed for you?
Yeah. So, from an early age, looking at magazines, I wouldn't read the content. I would just look at the ads.
Oh,
so, cool. Went to school for advertising, got out of advertising at University of Florida, and landed myself at a local agency here in South Florida. And I wanted to do big things. I wanted to go to New York City and live the big advertising dream. And I got a job in Tier 3 retail automotive. And that I felt was a starting point for me for my career. And I wasn't going to stay there long. I thought I'd give myself a year. But after a year, I got promoted, and I kept getting promoted from there, and realized that I was a good fit for retail automotive.
So going from UF, and thinking about advertising in the big sense of New York City and that thing, and then, starting to work with dealers, right? And, very unique animal. What was your, first impression of, working with dealers?
That they were real.
Yeah.
So, I liked that. I'm a very upfront person. So it kind of matched my personality. I could be me and it wasn't too stuffy. So I liked it. Now it did have its challenges, and it has had its challenges in the years, because there are a lot of big personalities,
Sure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I think that certain people thrive under that pressure.
It's interesting you say that. So, Marc and I talk a bit about, and, we're always very impressed with female leaders in the automotive space. And, that big personality, is a tough thing to deal with. And it's common in the, we could call it what it is. The auto industry has a lot of alpha type male figures, and can be very difficult to navigate. And so Connie, as a leader, as a chief in a major advertising firm, chief of the clients, and the clients being the dealers, how did you navigate that successfully to get to where you've been?
I think relationships are key. I think it's been the key to my success. Building those relationships, getting to know, all different types of people, know what makes them tick, get to know them on a personal level. And I advocate for relationship building with everyone that works for me. I think that's the key to any, good relationship, whether it be professional or personal.
Yeah, that's a great point to make, because so much of the dealer's business is based on relationships with their customers, with their teams individually, but it's such a big part of what we do in automotive.
And are there ever people that it's tough for you to make a relationship with, or, what are some tips in terms of building a relationship, and specifically from a, female perspective, in terms of maybe there are other listeners who are having trouble building that relationship with a dealer out there. What are your tips? Because clearly you're very successful at it. What were some tips you would give?
I think, be yourself, and you, as women, you have to believe in yourself, and lead with confidence. A lot of women tend to doubt themselves compared to their male counterparts, and confidence is key. So, start with believing in yourself. But listen, you're not going to always see eye to eye with every single person.
Right.
And you just need to listen to their side. And sometimes you need to agree to disagree and, stand in your truth. So oftentimes I stand in my truth, and I say, at the end of it, I say, listen, that's my opinion, but you're the client, it's your budget, and, let's try it your way.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. I think confidence, and that's key for everyone, right? Is, knowing your stuff and knowing when to stand your ground and agree to disagree. And I think that builds respect, in a relationship.
So Connie, what's exciting to you now in the automotive space? This is a business that continuously evolves, and dealers are, bombarded with new approaches and tips or strategies around engaging consumers. What continues to excite you about automotive?
Great question.
There's so much. It's a hard question to answer in just one statement. The inventory is coming back. That's one of the big things that excites me as a marketer, because that now we can, do what we do best and help them, move the needle.
Sure.
With used cars being stagnant and, inventory there, we can really do what we need to be doing for the dealers. But, our landscape has changed so much, in the 22 years I've been in it. Sure. I started, doing print ads, back in the day, radio, TV, print. And then it went into digital. And now, we're at this turning point, even in digital, where everything is going, virtual reality and augmented reality and AI. And, we're kind of on the cusp of things changing like they did when, print changed to digital, I think. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So I'm curious, from an advertiser, as an advertising expert, as a dealer advertising expert, before the pandemic, if we think back, and if I put myself on thinking about the ads I'm seeing on TV, right, from dealers, a lot of price advertising, right? A lot of rebate, discount, 0%, low payments, you name it, right? And now that inventory is coming back, do you feel a rush to that price advertising is going to happen? And is that what you're advising, your clients as they come back, is to step right back into 2019 and carry on?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've been talking to my team about it.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to need to step back into 2019, but by all means, I think we need compelling offers. I've had dealers this year that said, let's get back into, pre-pandemic levels of advertising, radio, TV. And we put in Y buys, and it didn't move the needle. And they say, you know what? It's not moving the needle. And I thought, you know what? Is it the advertising or is it the offer? So do we need to get back, to the offer? What about buying down these rates? Can they do that? I think, we need to help the consumer on the affordability. So can they buy down the rates? Carvana, I just saw they're advertising cars under 20 and bring your cosigner. So they're getting a little aggressive. So I think it's a happy medium. And I think, yeah, we need more than just a why buy.
So Connie, is there an opportunity, when you think about how dealers can connect with their customers, and an ongoing theme we've talked about here on the walk around is experience and that customer experience in how they purchase the vehicle. You mentioned a strong offer in advertising, but is there an opportunity for dealers to advertise and create some differentiation of their brand based on how they treat the customer and how they create an experience or an education component for their consumers? Is that an advertising play in some way?
100%. So, that is the why buy I just spoke about, but having a compelling why buy. So, I'll give you an example from this year. We have a group, the Cavalli Auto Group, and they are using a service tech application that allows them to take video. It does a lot. You can schedule your appointments, you can approve your repair work, but the video component, I thought, really was setting them apart from their competitors. So we took that and we brought that to the market and said, hey, listen, you get to see a video, there's no more, curtain between you and the service department. We removed that. And obviously those weren't the words, but they had a 986% ROI over a 3-month period.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was purely messaging around that new customer experience.
Yeah. Yep. A customer experience for service. Yep. So far they're up 1.6 million in revenue.
Wow.
1.1 million in operational gross.
You know what I love there is how often do you hear people connecting the dots back to revenue and gross? And it's one of the beautiful things about digital advertising. I think what Connie does is being able to test and link it back. Did it actually work? But I do want to go back to something you said, because I think it's interesting, if I'm hearing you right. Affordability is a concern on customers' minds, meaning prices have gone up, rates are higher, there aren't as many lease deals. If I'm hearing you right, Connie, I think what you're saying is, yeah, we could go back to price advertising. Yeah, we need a hook to get the customer in, but could you make it about how I'm going to help you to get this car affordable to you? Is that the nuance to it? The sort of the messaging is more around an education of how you can afford this here.
Right. I think so.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I think it's an interesting take, right?
It is.
Because it's a way for dealers to advertise a offer without going back to, purely right to the rock bottom price.
Yeah. So Connie, you mentioned why buys and kind of compelling offers. What else makes a good advertising campaign? Or let's just think about the TV ad, for example, by itself, because a lot of dealers still put a lot of value in TV. They love to put themselves sometimes in their TV ads.
Yeah.
Is that still a trend? Like, what would you say to a dealer who's thinking about reaching their audience through the TV medium?
I think the content has to be engaging. I don't think you yell and sell is relevant anymore. Now, granted, it depends on the market. But, engaging content, something that's going to bring people in, make you laugh. The first 5 seconds are very important, especially in the digital landscape. So you can pull people in. They don't hit the skip button. So, bringing maybe some comedy into it.
Well, we're going to dig a little deeper into what your thoughts are on the best advertisements, but that's a little bit of a teaser for a Schor thing.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's coming up. But let's switch gears a little bit when you think about trends. And what you're seeing in the last year, and what do you see continuing in terms of marketing trends for dealers?
Well, I think, we're seeing budgets starting to come back for those who didn't decrease their budget. So that's first and foremost. So they're getting more inventory. Advertisers are ready to advertise. And then, the tactics of which we are sending those messages. Streaming surpassed TV for the first time ever in August.
And that was in 2022, the first time ever?
August in 2022. Yeah.
Streaming surpassed broadcast TV.
Broadcast, yeah. Streaming was 34.8% and broadcast was 21.6%. And then cable was 34.4%. So
that's amazing.
And that must be right. And that's challenging. And that must be challenging for a tier 3 car advertiser. How do you break through on streaming? Like how do you
is that more expensive?
Is it
in some cases?
Or
I think it's less expensive, but to Elliot's point, how do you break through, the reach and frequency that we're used to from the old guys? Listen, I think at this point, what's important is that you're hitting the right person, versus the sniper approach versus the shotgun or whatever. So, you can do that through streaming. So in market buyers, in market for new, in market for used. So instead of, reaching the masses, you're reaching the person that's more likely to buy. So, and we're tracking it back to store visits. So we have that data that they're actually coming into the store. So it's proven.
Gotcha. That's, do you get pushback still on the amount of data-driven aspects to it? I remember, when I was in the field, we would talk to dealers, and kind of you and I have known each other a while about, and I'm just making this up, dealer website service lead provider A, you're spending $30,000 there. They delivered 3 cars for you. And it's like, you would tell a dealer that and they would say, yeah, they delivered 3 cars for me. And you'd say, well, no, that's 10,000 a car. That's, you could, and there was a lot of gut to it. And you were fighting a lot of gut. I can't remove this service. What would my team think? And it's like, this service is not doing it. Do you still get a lot of pushback from a data-driven approach, or do you think the dealers have really come full circle there?
I think a little bit of both. I think some of them, still haven't come around. Some of them are really embracing, in fact, going to conferences to educate themselves. There's more dealers and, marketing managers at Digital Dealer and NADAs and, all these conferences. So they're getting educated, but then there's the dealers that we educate. And to your point, streaming is this, where is that? And how am I I'm not going to see it. Am I going to see it? So no, I don't think it's been adopted, but like the data is there that show that, that there's more eyeballs on streaming than there is on TV. So
interesting.
Yeah. Someone told me this once. It was funny. I was talking to an advertiser and a dealer, and, and the dealer was saying, I didn't see my ads. I want to see my ads. And the advertiser asked the dealer, are you in market for a car? Are you going to buy a car? And the dealer goes, well, no. And he goes, well, then
why would you see it?
Why would you see an ad?
Right.
That's a waste of an ad.
For sure.
But that's a different mindset, around that. For sure.
So Connie, let's talk a little bit now about opportunities for dealers. And, what do you see dealers not doing that they should be, that could help impact their business?
So I think that, we talked about the offers, I think that they, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to sell every car I have, and that mentality, we don't need to put in offers. I think, again, going back to that, I think that's one. More service and parts transparency, into those MPIs, the multi-point inspection. I think, I go to a local dealer, and they're the largest dealer in the world for their brand, and I don't get that experience. There's no app. I'm still paying for service downstairs with the service advisor with my credit card versus paying through an app. I don't get updates except for through text, which are fine. But they called and said, hey, you need new tires. And I said, I'll wait. Because I wanted, and instead of seeing the tread, I didn't see the tread. I wanted to like look at it on my own and price it out. Instead, you can give them that experience where they see the tread and you give them the price and they can approve the service work. So I think some of that for dealers, I think could make a big impact rolling that out. And there are multiple providers that do that now, and it's just adoption.
Sure.
So that's going to be a challenge. But I think that they'll see the ROI.
And from, you touched on a little bit from a marketer's perspective, what do you see the state of digital retailing or online buying? Do you see it sort of at being stagnant at the moment? You see consumers taking a leap forward, dealers taking a leap forward, or kind of has it regressed maybe from where the pandemic forced you online? What do you see in terms of how digital retailing is coming along?
We have dealers that get, they sell a lot of cars through digital retail. I have seen it's kind of stagnant. It's not really increasing. So, I think that we'll see what happens when we have these virtual, experiences. I think still, the person wants to really see the car and smell the car. And there's that disconnect when you're online, going through that experience. They're still going to stop in part of that process and come in because they want to see the car, versus when we're, the world that's the future ahead of us of augmented reality, and it's sitting in our driveway and we get to test drive it without having to go in. I think we have, a ways to go still,
Right.
but it's really exciting times, I think.
Well, we're going to touch on augmented reality in a second here as well.
Before we get to that, though, we did want to dive in a little bit with you, Connie, on social media, because that clearly is still a primary channel that dealers and all businesses, for that matter, reach customers and consumers.
Right. And, it's constantly evolving, as we saw in the last month or so, with Elon Musk, right, taking over Twitter, and immediately GM pausing advertising on the platform. And I think today, Ford paused that, or recently Ford paused advertising. I'm not sure if they're back yet.
We don't know.
But I'm not on Twitter personally. Well, I don't use it. You could probably find me there. But just curious, how, if you're a dealer, with the proliferation of, my kids use
TikTok.
Be Real. No, they're all TikTok.
Be Real.
Be Real now.
Okay.
Is their new thing. But which is like, I don't know where you put an ad in Be Real, but
so if you're a dealer, Connie,
how do you navigate?
How do you look at social media? And is it just a matter of you have to be everywhere in all channels, or do you double down on one versus another? What are your thoughts?
It's just like any kind of media. You go where there's eyeballs, right? So, where there's users. So listen, as some people don't like Facebook at this moment, but they're still on it. They still have a huge user base, Instagram as well, and TikTok. So, social avenues like TikTok are getting more sophisticated in targeting. So as an advertiser, we have to go after those social channels that have good targeting for automotive. Not everything is set up for automotive. They'll love to sell you something, but it's maybe more for e-commerce or a different kind of, brand. But, TikTok has come around to automotive. They have more targeting capabilities. It's a younger audience also. So we've been doing some things with TikTok, and that's been fun. I think it shows a different side, to the dealers. It gives them a little bit of a brand, a personality. And
I also think, Connie, if you agree, YouTube continues to be a big platform for dealers, especially when it comes to search, because that's where you can connect with buyers who have intent and are looking for, looking for answers, quite frankly, to questions. And that's where a dealer can help differentiate from competition. Do you agree with YouTube as being a primary focus for dealers?
I do. Yes. 100%.
Yeah, it's funny. This is a theme in season 2 here, but it's really for the dealer, it's just be helpful.
Right.
Whether you're in person, whether you're advertising, be helpful. Let that be your guiding mission. And I think that's
be driven by what the customer needs.
Right.
Yeah.
And want to help. I do think it's time.
I do agree,
Yeah.
Elliot. It is time. Connie, you may have heard about this segment. But before
we get there,
go ahead.
I did want to go back to something we talked about at the beginning here, because I recognize that we may have, the three of us probably dated ourselves a little bit with the lovely Who's the Boss. And I want to fact check us, because we said some things at the beginning about what Tony did. I did.
Did you get some
insight?
I
just, just for all of our younger listeners out there, just want to be conscious to know that, Who's the Boss premiered in 1984.
Wow.
And it was a widower and a former pro baseball player.
Baseball. Some sports.
Yeah. Tony Miceli takes a job as a housekeeper for a high-powered divorced businesswoman, Angela Bauer, and her son.
Excellent.
He and his daughter, Samantha, move into the Bauer residence, where Tony's laid-back personality contrasts with Angela's type A behavior.
Are you going to read the entire synopsis of Who's the Boss?
And of course, who could forget the lovely Mona?
Mona.
Right.
That's right. It was great.
Right. The man-hungry mother-in-law. I'm reading this. This is the description.
So Elliot's podcast on Who's the Boss will be coming out shortly.
And all other wonderful sitcoms.
But we wanted to do something that we call a sure thing, Connie. And this is where Elliot here has a few hot takes on the business. And we ask our guests, is it a sure thing or it is not a sure thing? Elliot, take it away.
And so this is a special marketing edition of It's a Sure Thing. And and so, we hear a lot about dealer advertising budgets, and we get this question a lot. Our team does. Where do I spend my money? Right. You hear a lot of dealers are all in still with TV. You hear a lot of dealers that are all in on digital now, right? And shun sort of traditional media. Right. But I believe, Marc and Connie, that a diversified mix of media is still the best strategy when it comes to advertising. Sure thing or not a sure thing?
100% a sure thing.
All right, Elliot. That was a softball.
That really was a softball.
but Connie does agree. So diversified mix is what you should be focusing on.
And
true?
How do you? And I guess my question to you, Connie, would be how do you divert? How do you know where to spend at what?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What medium? Are there tools you use, or how do you know how to optimize that mix?
Right. We look at the data. So whatever's performing the best. And that, again, tracking it back to store visits. We have some of our partners that can track it back to sales through their providers. So, looking at what works for the dealer. And those are, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, streaming, and, still search.
All right, cool.
Great point.
All right.
Number two.
Well, that was an easy one. Just getting us
one for one. You get warmed up.
But I think this one will cause a little more waves here.
Okay.
But,
here we go.
We all know Meta has their stock has dropped.
They've had some struggles.
A tough year for Meta.
Yes.
And we know that Mark Zuckerberg really believes in the metaverse.
He's going all in.
All in. I mean, really all in.
Yeah.
But I believe
here we go
that the metaverse is a complete waste of time and will cause the demise of Zuckerberg and Facebook.
Wow.
Bold. Connie,
is that a sure thing or not a sure thing?
I don't think it's a sure thing.
Oh,
tell me more, Connie.
Disagrees.
I think that not today, not next year, but I think in the next 5 years, the landscape's going to change a lot. And there is going to be the metaverse and different ways of shopping and retailing. So
you think as generations, continue to move into the buying age and the retail environment, buying virtually is going to continue to grow?
I think so. Don't you want to smell perfume through the internet? Or
not really.
I'd rather just go to the department store.
But we're old. Look, we're talking about Who's the Boss. We're not the target audience.
I mean, I heard you're going to be able to taste food. So
Wow.
that's pretty cool. So if you can smell the new car smell and you can taste what the burger tastes like, I don't know, I'm in for that.
That would be interesting.
You know what I envision though? That movie, the Disney movie with the robot.
iRobot?
Is it iRobot or no? That's the.
We are so bad in trying to remember names.
It's the one where they're shipped off on a spaceship to a destination of nowhere because they've ruined planet Earth. Anyway,
Sorry, I can't help you. I haven't seen that one.
You stumped me. Let's go to sure thing number 3.
okay.
Shall we?
Please, let's do it.
Let's
All right. So, Mark and I we did a little research.
We did.
Yes, it was Baymax. That was the name of the character, but it's not the movie.
It is not.
I forget the name.
We'll get back to it.
Our producers are working feverishly in the background here. So we did some research and we, Big Hero?
Big Hero 6?
It could be.
All right, let's stay on track here.
Okay. So we did some research, Connie, and Mark and I were talking about the best TV commercials of all time. Best TV commercials of all time. Now, I definitely have an opinion, and I'll let Mark share his favorite commercial of all time.
Personally, my favorite TV commercial of all time is Be Like Mike with Air Jordan and Michael Jordan, because it really just captured who he was and what everyone wanted to be. Yeah. Is be great like Michael Jordan.
Right. And truly one of the best.
I believe so.
And it has produced.
But this is not a Spoto thing. No, this is a Schor thing.
It is a Schor thing.
Let's hear it.
So, we talked about Be Like Mike. The what's up, guys? What's up?
I knew you couldn't resist.
I couldn't resist it, give me a break.
Give me a break. Kit Kat.
Who cannot sing that song? Yeah. You know the song, Connie, right?
Yeah, I love a jingle.
But I believe that the best advertising ads of all time, and I'll try and do what they do here, and we'll see if we can do it. I don't always do a Schor thing, but when I do it on the Walk Around podcast. And so, yes, the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world is the greatest ads of all time, according to a Schor thing. Connie, Schor thing or not a Schor thing?
I don't know. I don't think it's a Schor thing. What about Mikey Likes It?
That was on our list. That was on our list.
Mikey Likes It.
Okay. I mean, you can't disagree with Mikey Likes It. That's memorable.
True. I wonder where that kid is now.
I'm sure we could Google it, but we don't have time for that. Connie, you have been a fantastic guest, and thank you for helping educate us and our audience on marketing and advertising and where things are headed. That was really fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Connie. It's been thank you for letting us have some fun and for providing some really good insight on leadership and advertising and really where the future, where dealers need to be thinking about as inventory comes back.
Yeah, absolutely. And where can we find more about you, Connie? If someone wanted to go online and learn about you and your company, what's the best place to do that?
You can go to dom360.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
Dom360.com. Awesome. You heard it from Connie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Connie. Take care.
Thank you guys. It was a pleasure. It was so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you.